Cube and welcome to my second Scratch tutorial video. Last time we talked about the parts of the Scratch work thing. Today we are going to be talking about our first blocks and how they will make up the Scratch. So today we're going to be talking about motion blocks and how they work. So yeah, before we get started, I'm going to, real quick, ask you to like and subscribe the video. And yeah, with that being said, let's get into it. Okay, so this is what we're going to do first. So I'm going to teach you what each and every one of these motion blocks does today. And I don't know, we might get sidetracked, but hopefully not. So first what you want to do is you want to go to your code tab and you want to select the motion blocks. Now, with your mouse, you can scroll down the roller. I'm using the PC, but yeah, so what you want to, but you can use other things as well. So what you want to do is you want to click this and drag it out into the code area. I think that's what it's called. I can't remember. It's been that long. So yeah, we have just gotten out our first block, which is the move steps block. Now, this is the start button. As you can see, it says go, and this is the stop button. So it doesn't actually highlight the red. That's just its color. It will not highlight the red when you click it. I am clicking it, continuously clicking it, and clicking on the green flag. We're not going to be using these today, but we're talking about the move steps block. So what the move steps block is going to do is it's going to move a certain amount of steps. So basically when it means steps, it's going to move in the direction that it is facing. So as you can see, this cat here, which is the default sprite in our sprites pane, if we clicked the move steps block, it would move. Because it's facing 90 degrees, it would move this way along the x-axis 10. So if we click the block, as you can see, it goes to x10. And if we clicked 20, then it would move 20 more steps. So it would go to x30. And if we clicked 30, it would go 30 more steps to x60. So basically, that is what the move steps block does. But that's not all we're going to do right now. If the move steps block so far without everything else is just moving us this way, how are we going to get it to move back this way only using the steps block? Well, we can move negative steps. So we're at x60, so we can move back negative 60 steps. So I'm going to click it to activate it, and we're back at x0, y0. So we're going to put this up here because we are not done with it. We will get back to it later with something else. And if I click the move 0 steps, it's not going to do anything. So now we have the turn degrees blocks. Now what these are going to do is this is going to turn this way 50 degrees. So if I had this, it would turn this way 50 degrees if I clicked this block, which is facing this way. The arrow right here is facing this way. It would go this way. It would go left 15 degrees. But if I did this, it would turn right 15 degrees. So if I did that, it would turn right 15 degrees. If I did that, it would go back to what it did. It would undo the right degrees. And then if we did the left degrees, it would turn left 15 degrees. And then we can turn right 15 degrees just to undo that change. And then what Scratch blocks are designed to do is, you see this little sticky down bit and this little indent bit? What they can do is as you see, they can snap together. And basically what this does is this is a script. When you click it, it will do both at once. This one, very slightly before this one. So it does that for like a split second, but then it does this one, which reverts it to the change. We will find ways to delay that in the future so we can see what it does. But not in this video. So again, we will put these up here because not in script form. I'm not going to connect these as a script. I'm going to take this script apart. No, actually I'm going to leave it together and leave it right there for our later stuff. So now we have the kind of the go-to blocks. So we have our first go to block, which is go to random position. And if we click it now, it says the arrow here. You can click the arrow if you want for more options. And if you click it again, it'll close. Maybe it won't. All right, click this. Now you can click anywhere in this little circular tube bit, then just click anywhere else to close it. So basically, this is where it can go to right now. If we had here, I'm just gonna get a random sprite. We have this motorcycle sprite. As you see, it went to a random location, and it would do the same with another sprite. Also, to get rid of sprites, click this little garbage can. So yeah, as you see, let's click on sprite 1 and select that again. If we have the go to random position, now you can see we can go to motorcycle, which is our second sprite over here. It will choose this go to block will do go to random position. So if I click that, it would go to this random position. If I click to go to mouse pointer, it can't really go over here off the stage, but this is as close as it can get. And if we clicked go to motorcycle, it would go to the motorcycle, go to the exact X and Y position of the motorcycle. So we are gonna get rid of that by dragging it back into the motion tab, because we are not gonna be experimenting with that later. Our next block is the go to XY block. Now this block is a very handy block whenever we're coding. This is gonna go to an X position, a certain X position on the map, on the stage, and a certain Y position on the stage. Now we can go to Y0 and X0, and it will go to the center of the stage. Like I said in the last video, the center of the stage is X0, Y0. And if you haven't seen my last video on the Scratch tutorial video, then you might be just a little bit confused about what all this is. So I would recommend going back to the last video and watching that before continuing on with this video. So we are going to, we can do a random position. We can do X100, Y0, which would basically go to X100, and then we can go to X0, and then we can go to Y3. So basically I haven't talked about this yet, but changing the X or Y by a positive number. If you change the X by a positive number, it will go this way along the X-axis. If you change a Y by the positive number, it will go this way along the Y-axis. If you change the X by a negative number, it will go this way along the X-axis. If you change the Y by a negative number, it will go this way along the Y-axis. So yeah, that's kind of what it's going to do. If we have negative 90, then as you can imagine, it's going to be somewhere on this part of the stage, on the left side of 0. And if we did X90, that would be on the right side of 0, the exact opposite part of the stage, which is this. So again, I'm going to put that back in here because we don't need that now. So now we have the glide 1 second 2. So basically that's kind of like the same as the go to. We can go to motorcycle and all that, but we are going to glide a certain amount of seconds. So if I clicked this, then I could count 1 second and it would be here. It's kind of like a smooth move to a certain area, but it doesn't do minutes. It only does seconds. So if you need to convert it to minutes or even hours, you would need to convert seconds to minutes or seconds to hours. And I doubt you would need to convert seconds to days. So if I clicked the glide 1 second to random position, it would glide 1 second to right there, which is its random position. If I said glide 1 second to mouse pointer, then it would go as close as it could to the mouse pointer. And if I did glide, now I can change the amount of seconds it glides to something. Let's glide to the motorcycle. Then it could glide toward the motorcycle for 3 seconds. But again, we are going to get out a 0, 0 block and go to the middle. Also, if I haven't told you this yet already, then what I'm doing to activate the blocks is click them. We will find a better, more elegant way of clicking them in the future, but for now, we're just going to click. So, our next one is glide 1 second to X0, Y0. Now, I'm not going to spend forever on this, but it's essentially the same as this. It's just going to go to a certain XY coordinate, and that's all it does. I will give you a brief example of gliding 2 seconds to x 2y80, which is apparently right there. But we're going to glide 0 seconds to x0y0. So basically, the glide 0 seconds is the same as the go 2. So you could use glide 0 seconds too, but I would just use the go 2. So if now, here's where we're going to get back into this. So these are the point in direction blocks. These are the tricky blocks. The point in direction block is going to basically choose which direction you point in. So it is pointing in this direction. So if it was to move steps, basically it would move the way it's facing, but changing x and y along the way. And because it is facing the right side of the x-axis perfect, it would not have to change the y by anything to go 10 steps. So, and if I did this, 10 steps would be to the left. So negative 10 steps would be to the right because it is facing this way. Negative 10 steps is basically, a negative steps block is the opposite way you are facing. So the move steps block will change the x and y coordinate by how many it needs to go to this area or this area. But that doesn't mean the x and y added together will equal 10. Let me show you here. Point in direction 60, it would move 10 steps. The x and y together, don't equal 10, because negative 9 plus 5 is equal to negative 4. So yeah, let's move this back on to the right and point in direction 90. And let's go to 0, 0, because that is my preferred spot for this video. The center of the stage. So we're going to point, so basically this is going to be the point in direction block. It's going to move 10 steps in this direction, 10 steps in this direction. The only reason it was changing the x by 10 whenever we had this is because it's kind of hard to explain. It's just this is facing the exact x to the right position, so it would go this way. This is the positive and this is the negative side of the x-axis. This is the negative side of the y-axis, and this is the positive side of the y-axis. This is like kind of roughly the middle. Just imagine a cross in the center of the stage where the two lines meet. That's kind of where the center would be, right there. So it would face in certain directions, and depending on your move steps block, it would move steps in that direction. So if I moved steps in this direction, it would move 10 steps in that direction. If I moved 10 steps in that direction, it would kind of change its x by negative, but the steps it's a little hard to explain. I'm not great at explaining this. But it would basically move steps in that direction. So moving positive steps in this direction would move the way it's facing. Moving negative steps that direction would move the opposite way it's facing. And then, of course, we can point to certain positions. Like we can point to the motorcycle, we can point to the mouse pointer. But for some reason, they don't have point in random direction. So that is a little weird. But we are going to get our point in direction 90 because that is kind of what I prefer. So this is, now we have change x into y. Now this is similar to the steps block, but this is going to actually change your sprite by x and by y. So change x by 10 would basically change the x position by 10. And it doesn't matter which direction we are facing, as I'm about to show you now. If I point in direction, just a random direction like negative 150, it would still change the x by 10. And then, now that I have an x 70, 70 minus 70 or plus negative 70 would be 0. So we are going to go there and point in direction 90. And then the change y would do the same thing as the change x, but it would change your sprite to y. And I'm going to change it by negative 60 because I want to go back to the center of the stage. And now we can set x and set y and set x to certain positions like 3, set y to 9. we can do, and then together that would kind of have the same effect as a go to XY block. I don't know why you would use these two together, unless you're using like kind of a delay between the two, which we'll learn how to do in the future. But yeah, that's really it for now. Now, we can get rid of these. I never got rid of these, but we don't need them anymore, and we don't need the motorcycle anymore, because everything I needed to do with that is done. So yeah, and then we can also set Y2. Now, here's another block, if on edge bounce. So, I didn't talk about this, but if you try to go to X1000, it's going to stop at X273, which I'm guessing is the limit. I'm guessing we can't go any further than 273. Yeah, I guess we can only go to anything lower than 273 or 273. And then I'm guessing it's the same with the other side of the x-axis. If I did negative 275, yep, negative 273. What if I do the y? Would that actually work? Would that do something? So the x center of the stage, we could put the set x in the middle, but we could change our y, and the same with the y. We could put our x in certain areas, but have the y still on this same level. But yeah, let me see the limit to the y. I never saw that before. So yeah, okay, I guess the limit to the y is 216, and this area, negative 216. So you cannot go any further than on the stage than 216 or negative 216 or whatever. So yeah, now we have the if on edge bounce, which I'm getting back to. We are on the edge right now, so if I clicked this, it would bounce kind of off the edge. So I know that this is a little out of your depth, and we haven't really learned this. I'm going to get a forever block. Don't try to do this. Well, you can do this, but don't. I'm going to activate that. Basically, that would bounce it off the edge. That means it's always active. It's going to always if on edge bounce. But we don't need that right now. Let's get that off, and let's point in direction. Hello? Oh, my mouse turned off. I'm gonna have to get back to you guys in just a second. Alright guys, I got my mouse secure and we're back in the video. Now we've already been in this for a little while and we are almost done. We've been in it for like 17 or 18 minutes now. So yeah, and we're almost done. So what we're gonna do is set rotation style. This is gonna set your rotation style. So this would set it all around. Basically, this is how you can rotate and change your direction, which is this. Yeah, basically turning degrees would change your direction by this number. Point in direction would basically just kind of do that. The point in direction, it's kind of like this. The move steps is kind of like this, but these are kind of a little bit different than the steps and how it relates to the X and Y. So the set rotation style left, right, what you want to do with that is basically that is going to set your rotation style left, right. So you cannot face up, you cannot face down, you can only face left or right. Like if I turned back 1 degree, that would, okay, maybe not. But if I change myself by 180 degrees to the left, that would basically make me face this way. And if I did it again, that would make me face this way. So that's how you can turn left and right without having any problems. Because if I set my rotation style to all around, which means I can face in a full circle, if I tried to do that, turning 180 degrees, I know this isn't the same block, would kind of, okay, well, let me try that again. If I did that, that would kind of mess it up because I would like kind of, okay, I guess I haven't set my rotation style all around. Yeah, that would kind of like mess it up, make it go down and stuff. And we don't want that. So if you just want your sprite to do this, I guess you could point in direction negative 90. But if you wanted to turn degrees, then you would want to set your rotation style left, right. Your set rotation style don't rotate just means you can't, like your sprite can still point in certain directions, but it won't look like it's pointing in certain directions. Also, the turn degrees would kind of basically, it would turn your direction, but if your style was left, right, or don't rotate, and it wasn't like a left or right thing yet, it would still point in that direction. It just wouldn't look like it was pointing in that direction. And then if you use the move steps block, it would move steps in that direction even though it didn't look like it was pointing in that direction. Then if I set my rotation style don't rotate, it's not going to rotate from this. I can try all I want, it's never going to rotate. So I'm going to drag that back in, and we're going to get on to our last 3 things of the day. So this is a little bit of a tongue twister here. So these are certain things. These are kind of variables. Now, we haven't gotten into variables too much yet. I'm just going to tell you that this is the X position of this sprite and this sprite only. Now, it's called X sprite 1. Of course, we can rename it to, like, I don't know, cat. Then that would change as well. Cat, X position. This is for this sprite only. So if we had another sprite, if we enabled the X position, it would, okay, well, if that's the X position of this and not the X position of this, or no, okay, you can drag the variables, so that's going to be where it is right there. We can have this one, basically ticking each one for check marks basically shows it on here, and then we can like right click it and do large readout, normal readout. It would kind of change how it looks. We're gonna hide all of these though. I'm not gonna get too much into it right now. We might talk about it more another day, but that is really all we're gonna be talking about today. I'm gonna set our sprite back to 0 and set our direction to 90, which faces the right, and this can also change your rotation style. This is all around, this is left, right, and this is don't rotate. So we're gonna keep it as don't rotate. I don't know why this costume is still up here, because we already got rid of it. But yeah, guys, that's really all we're talking about the motion blocks today. I'm sorry to leave these out, but they're kind of not with the rest of the set. And these aren't either, this isn't either. So we're gonna kind of leave a couple out until we get to the variables, which will be far in the future. Yeah. I'm also not gonna talk about operators before talking about variables. I'm gonna talk about variables first, then operators, and then talk about the most advanced thing on here, which is my block. But yeah, until then, wait for the next tutorial video. I hope this helped you today, and I will see you all later. Bye!